Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Reflections. We hope you enjoyed the trailer. I can't call it a trailer. Is it a trailer when it's at the beginning?
I thought that was at the end, but that's okay.
I did too. But what do we know? Because
Yeah.
we're in front of the camera, not behind, and not
Right,
in the
right,
movie making business, right?
Right.
Right. Well, something very exciting is going on this evening. Not to say that what we're going to do is not going to be exciting, but it pales in comparison. Tonight at the place at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to have Dr. Lawrence Krauss. He is a renowned theoretical physicist. He is an atheistic activist. He is a lover of humanity, I would say, a champion for gender rights, just an all-around good guy. Good guy. He's going to be here along with all of our co-hosts. Also, Michael Camp, we had him on before. He's the guy from, I think it's in Washington and maybe the Seattle area. I hope I'm not messing this up. But he is the guy that goes to pubs. He's really into micro brewing of beers. And he goes and he'll have a talk at a pub and have, his friends, and they just, have conversation over their most treasured brews, I guess, if you're a beer connoisseur. So that's a different twist, right?
Right.
I mean, who would have ever thunk that you could go to a pub and talk about spiritual things. As far as
Why not?
what now, come on, we both were raised where we wouldn't dare set foot in one, much less talk about.
Yeah, but I changed my mind.
Yes, you did. Oh, wow, that's a zinger, and that's a good one too. Yeah, me too. Me too. I will confess this one thing. Even though Southern Baptists, they didn't want you to drink and do all these things, I have frequented when I was younger a few nice places. And it seems like the more that I would drink, I would start like evangelizing everybody at the bar, Jesus loves you. I guess that's what most people do anyway. So I wasn't drunk in the spirit. I was probably drunk with a couple vodka and tonics. I don't know. Anywho, that's a long time ago. But I have stepped out of the shadow of my Southern Baptist past, and I am thankful. And like you said, I've changed my mind, and it's good to change your mind. Ruthie, you've changed your mind too. You came out of another denomination that.
They're the only true church.
So we're not going to say who they are, but just from that statement, you could probably figure it out. The only true church. A lot of people really got aggravated us when we first came out, like we're going to unchurch people. And at that time, we didn't mean, everybody immediately leave your churches and your congregations and step out into nothingness. But we wanted them to think for themselves and to be a little more free than some of those rules and regulations, right? Now, what are some of those rules and regulations that you abided by back in the day?
Women don't speak in church. You go to church every time the doors are open. You take part in their Bible vacation Bible schools. You work in the church doing whatever needs to be done, working on bulletins or stocking the pantry or whatever. Just as long as you're spending your time working for God, that's your priority.
So,
And the husband rules the house.
Yeah.
You don't go against your husband regardless.
So even if you knew in your heart of hearts it was a boneheaded move he was going to make or suggest for the family, the people in that church or denomination, they just let it flow, let it happen. Wow, that'd be very hard for me to do. That is very hard for me to do. Because, everybody makes boneheaded moves sometimes, and they have just an idea that you just know, and where it's not going to work.
Right.
And you should
right.
say something.
Right. But I was lucky. We moved to the Northwest, and my husband's ideas changed some, and he was no longer the macho man. He when he wanted to do something, he discussed it and got my opinion. Sometimes he didn't pay attention, but that's beside the point. He did ask. He didn't just go out and do it. And I can remember when I was working and he was disabled, he'd want to buy something, and he'd call me up before he'd go and write a check to make sure there was money in the bank that he could spend. And I always appreciated that. So, and he wouldn't have done that had we stayed in Florida. You know, he just would not have, because the Southern Christian man didn't do that.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. Well, we're going to segue into a topic, our first topic, and it has something to do with Dr. Krause, and it was an incident he was involved in at a college or university in London. And he goes, and I don't want to get this really crazy backwards. Take out my glasses to read. Crazy. But he goes to debate a Islamic gentleman, and in full disclosure, the debate was sponsored by the Islamic Education and Research Academy, and the debate was entitled Islam or Atheism, which makes more sense. And you can look it up on YouTube and see kind of what went down. But right away, when Dr. Krause, I guess, goes on the stage, he notices that there is a separation. The men are on one side and the women are on another side. That is customary for Islamic folks to participate in that. That's their cultural and probably more than likely religious ways. Okay. Well, Dr. Krause didn't like it. And so he says, basically, I'm not going to stand up here. I'm not going to take part in this because of this gender segregation. And he gathers his stuff up, and the article says he storms off the stage. That's what the article said. I didn't say it. If you did or not, you can watch it possibly on YouTube. But anyway, he storms off the stage, the article says. And then I guess they get it resolved, and he comes back for the debate. Now, do you have any... I know you have an opinion about this more than likely, but what's your first instinct when you heard that story?
Well, I know there are groups that do separate gender. Boys and girls are not allowed to play together after a certain age. When they ride on a school bus, the girls are on one side and the boys are on the other side. But I think that's just pushing a little bit too far. Just because you don't let them talk doesn't mean there's not going to be something going on behind your back. There is nothing you can do to legislate morality. It has to be something that is taught in a loving way, and separation doesn't do it. It just makes them want to find out what's wrong with us that we can't talk to each other.
Right, exactly. To me, it makes it that more appealing to want to, it makes it more appealing.
Right.
I would think, to me, to something that is forbidden, then it just piques your interest, You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'll say about that. Anywho, so do you think Dr. Krause had a right to do this? To say, I'm here for this debate, but I'm not going to do the debate, stand up here while this is going on? Because in my opinion, I'm almost, I guess I can see it from a couple of different sides, but if you go to an Islamic organization's sponsored debate, in your mind, you should know right off the bat you might be running into some of this. Now, also in full disclosure, the article says he has been to different Islamic Muslim type debates. I think one was in Australia, and he didn't run upon that separation. But maybe these people were more orthodox in their beliefs, and they just separated. I don't think anybody knows the 100% true story of this. I really don't.
Right.
Except for Dr. Krause and those that were actually there. I say, you know what? You go there and you see it and maybe make a statement about it. And that could have been one of his debate points. And I didn't hear the debate, but I would have brought it up. Look, just as this is my point right now. You got people separated. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That could have been one of his points in his debate. But I'm kind of like, when in Rome, do as the Romans. If you and I travel together and we got an opportunity to go to a Islamic country, and we were going to go and look at a mosque, and and they said we couldn't go in unless our head was covered, I would probably wrap my head so I could go in and see the beautiful artist's work.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's respecting cultural differences. And so it doesn't always have to be religious differences. And I think someone said that, well, what about Dr. Krause's beliefs? I don't know. Out of the two, I would say, he could have sucked it up a little bit. I'll just be honest.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
I think he would have been more respectful had he just told whoever he was debating, I'm uncomfortable with the separation of the audience, and then went on and did his debate and made sure that point came out in the debate.
Right.
I think that would have been better rather than doing something to hurt people's feelings.
Right.
And
I do too. And plus they really weren't going against him.
Right.
They were doing their cultural
right.
doings, even though I totally disagree with it. If we had a largely Muslim population that came and to listen to one of our shows, and they decided to separate themselves here in the studio, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say another word until you all mix together. I just,
Yeah.
But it's a little different at the debate. He made a good point as far as men and women, should be considered equal.
Right.
But some cultures have not caught up to, the United States. Even in London, where he was, I seriously doubt that men and women are treated exactly equal there, because it hasn't caught up. Here in the United States, we still struggle as far as women go to make the same amount of money as a man, to have the opportunities. We've come a long way, baby, to coin a phrase, but we're not.
You can't
there
be
yet.
a firefighter. You're a lady. You're a woman.
Right.
Yeah. You can't be a carpenter. You're a woman.
You can't be an airplane mechanic, engineer, but you know one, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But yes, there's and she, because she was a female in a male environment, she got a scholarship for part of the pay for her to go, because she was going into a man's field. So, but
Well, then we can say, maybe we have reverse discrimination now. But to encourage more women to go
Right,
into
right.
male-dominated, occupations, you would have to give an incentive, possibly. And women are brilliant. I think every woman is brilliant. And I may not be brilliant in, theoretical physics, and I guarantee you I'm not, but I am in other areas, and so are you.
Yeah, right.
So, but I'm looking forward to Dr. Krause and what he has to say, and some of his opinions, and I think most people will certainly benefit from it tonight. To me, it's a big deal that he's coming. It's a big, huge deal, and I give him so many kudos, because this man commands an audience, and I'm sure that he gets, should get compensated, tens of thousands of dollars to speak, and he's coming on the place. And that is really awesome, and that tells me something about him, that he doesn't think he's so high and mighty that he won't come to the place, even though I think it's a pretty high and mighty place, the place. So this says a lot about him to do this.
Right,
It really
right.
does.
Yeah.
So I don't care anything else he's about, and there are some controversies concerning him that I will not bring up because I haven't read a lot about him. The controversies, both sides, he's very gracious to do this. And so if you ever watch this show, if you're watching now, I think you're awesome just for that, just for being so gracious to come and be with us tonight. It's just going to be 30 minutes, but that's 30 minutes more than I thought was going to happen. All right, Ruthie. Okay, now, have you ever met an annoying mom? Or are you an annoying mom?
I might be. I don't know.
There's an article, and it says there are the 10 most annoying moms and the kind of people that they are. Now, this person, the first one, is TMI Tammy. Do you know what TMI stands for? Like kids will say, oh, gross mom, that's TMI. That means too much information. Like if the mom and dad are talking about things, romantic things, and the kids, they don't want to hear it. This is one type of annoying mom, TMI Tammy. She gives too much information. Like she'll describe to you in detail the ooze that has come out of her child's ear when he had, his last ear infection. She just, too much information. And if she just won't say it to you by yourself or a group of people, she'll put it on Facebook. She'll, just too much information.
I think there's too much information on Facebook anyway.
Yeah, I've read some. Since you said that, and this is sad that I took a teeny bit of pleasure in someone else's misery, but I was going through the news feed on Facebook, and one of our friends, and we have friends on Facebook, we have quite a few, but you know them just by things they write. You don't know them, not all of them. And so I was looking, and this one lady, she had this huge 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of information. And what she was saying, she told how she took a woman in her home, and the woman stole her husband, tried to steal her kids from her. She caught her in bed with her husband. I mean, she just told the whole story. What she did for the lady, what the lady did against her, called her name out. And then she said, and I saw it on the video of you and my husband, and she said, but I will say this about you. You had a really pretty smile when you were looking in the direction of the camera. I thought that was sweet of her. Wasn't that crazy, though? I mean, that's like a Looney Tunes, right?
Why do you want everybody to
I'd
know
be embarrassed,
all your
wouldn't you?
business, for Pete's sake? I mean, it's okay to say, okay, I went to the store today,
Right.
A lot of people saw you do that, but but to tell about private stuff, you don't even do that except with your husband, for Pete's sake.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't tell a living soul if that's embarrassing. I mean,
Yes,
she went
it is.
into more details than I care to even talk about, but it was funny, sad to say, and I actually copied the link and sent it to a couple of our children. I was like, you gotta see this. This is crazy. That was bad. I guess that was like a gossiper that did that. Yeah, that was wrong of me. Sorry. Okay. This lady, her name is, this annoying mom, is Delusional Denise. It says, Dee or Denise has no clue what her child is really like. She's unaware that there's anything wrong with her child. She just goes through life not concentrating on the child, just oblivious of their likes and dislikes, and lets other people, pick up the mess, pick up the whatever. Have you seen a mom like that before?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And it's sad for their children.
Isn't it?
It's sad for their children.
You know, I think if you can't tell anyone what your children are interested in, who are some of their closest friends, and I'm talking about when they're teenagers, because if you don't know some of your children's closest friends, they're going to get away from you. They're going to, be the kind of a child or a teenager that won't confide in you and be close to you. You've got to know things. And I don't call it being a sneaky mom, but like if you're my child, I would say, hey, got any new friends, or do you,
yeah.
and you listen to them and you hear them say names and you hear them,
Yes.
you were a mom like that, I'm
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Because you're very
yeah.
close to your
Yeah,
children.
I just didn't always give them advice. They'd say something and I'd say, well, have you thought about this? I didn't say, well, this is what you should do. I would just give them ideas to think about, and then they made up their own mind. When a child gets to be a teenager, that's all you can do is to guide them with thoughts and ideas, because otherwise they're going to do what you tell them not to do. So
That's true. That's a good way to put it, though. Have you ever thought about this? Not like you should do this and you better do this, and right away they're going to be backed up and be defensive.
And if you're not happy with the way he's treating you now, you better get used to it, because you're not going to change him after you get married. So you might as well get used to it. And that's what I gave advice, and she didn't marry him. But I didn't have anything to do with that. She just, because if I'd have said, well, you shouldn't marry him.
Oh, she would have married him.
Yeah. And they're still good friends, although
Wow.
she's been married and had children, and he's married and has children, but they're friends, but they don't go past that.
Yeah.
But it took them a few years to get over their hard feelings and hurts of the things that went on. But
Yeah. Well, it's good that you can still
Yeah.
be friends. I mean, you don't see that a lot.
yeah,
You really don't. That takes, I think, two very mature people to be friends after the fact. Okay, well, we're not going to go through all 10 of them because we have another subject to talk about, but let's go over another mother. Judgy Julie. This delightful mom is assessing your every move. On play dates, she's estimating how many toys you have in your dining room, the sugar content in your pantry, and when you last dusted your blinds. It says be careful with Judge Julie, because most of the time she won't keep her verdicts to herself. Have you ever ran across a mom like that?
I don't think so.
I don't think I have either. I don't.
If it is, it's a memory that I put back here because it wasn't a good one, and I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah.
And that's possible. But I can't think of one. So
Probably not, because if you're like me, I wouldn't want to. Sorry about that. I had to wipe sweat off my nose. If you're like me, you wouldn't associate with that person. Not associate, but she wouldn't be a friend.
Right,
Someone
right.
close that's judgmental like that, because my goodness, we judge ourselves enough, but to have a friend that's going to help you judge yourself, that's too much. That's too much.
right.
And we need to stop judging ourselves so harshly. We really do. Whenever we talked about that Dove commercial the other day with this sketch artist, and how the women would go in and they would say, like, my nose is too small for my face, and I've got fat cheeks, and then when I smile, I got huge cheekbones, and you can just go on and on about yourself, but then someone else would describe her and it would be a much flattering light. And so I think a lot of us are that way.
Yeah, we need to stop to think about the way that we look is a gift from our ancestors, because you had someone in your past that had a nose just like you. You had someone that had eyes, and they gifted this to you. And so, I think you should be appreciative of it. It's a gift.
That just almost brought me to tears. That's
So
sweet.
think about it.
Oh my goodness, that is true. Because except for sometimes my mom will say, "Don't look at me with your grandmother's beady little eyes, that hard, cold stare." And then other times she'll say, Don't look at me with those big wide eyes. I don't know who she blames that on, but maybe she don't want me to look at her. Maybe that's it. Beady eyes or wide eyes. But you're right. You're exactly right. I think that's true. And a lot of times, if my hair's really aggravating me, and it's just, and I always think, you know what? You know, not probably if I get cancer, but probably when I get cancer or whatever, and I won't have hair, you know, that made me feel bad because I dogged my hair. I complained about my hair. But some women, they're going through chemotherapy right now, and they don't have hair, and they wish they did. And so why should I be, you know, unappreciative of my hair? You know, I think about that every time I say that, and it's every day. Sad to say I haven't learned the lesson, but I'll do something and I'll look, and it's getting grayer and it's fuzzy, and I hate my hair. And then as soon as I say it, I say some women would love to have a head of hair. No matter what it looks like, you know.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I'm just thankful I didn't go bald at my young age instead of just turning white. Because I had a dad that went bald and an uncle. And so I could,
Wow.
you know, I could be bald on the top of my head,
Yep.
you know,
Well, you're
but,
not. You
but I'm
must-
not, and I'm thankful for what I've got.
There
It
you
may
go.
not be much, but I'm thankful for it anyway.
It's more than enough. And you have the most beautiful white hair. You know, I was going to say, if mine would be as pretty as your white hair, which finally mine's just all natural now. I don't have any color on it, but I don't know. We need to be satisfied with what we have.
Right.
You're exactly right. And I'm going to work on that. So tomorrow when I wake up and I complain about my
But
hair
when you're
again-
almost 80, you'll feel the same way.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we have another topic, and this was something that I couldn't actually believe. I think it's a town in Texas, and I can't find it right now, so I'm going to probably make up most of the details, but you're going to get the gist of it. This is the time of year, and we had a ladies' cookie swap yesterday, and we called it ladies' cookie swap. We could have just as easily called it our Christmas party, whatever we wanted to call it. You know, we can call it. But everybody thinks there's this huge war on Christmas, and I think it doesn't have to be unless you want it to be, because it's your personal
Right.
doings. You know,
Right.
your personal holiday, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, this school district in Texas, they're trying to be more politically correct and more inclusive of everybody's feelings. And but one thing that they've done, and I think this is totally ridiculous, they have outlawed red and green at the winter party. Now they don't even say holiday party, it's winter party. They've outlawed the colors red and green. What say you about that?
Well, then they have to get rid of all of the grass and any red flowers that's around. I mean, if you're going to get rid of all red and green, you got to get rid of all red and green, not just clothes, unless you specify red and green clothes or red and green decorations.
Yeah. No red
Because
and
grass is green. Last time I looked, unless it's turned brown because it's cold.
green. Yeah, some parts of Texas is probably
Yeah.
still just as green
But
as
anyway,
red and green.
I think it's
Poinsettias are red. They're gorgeous. It's a
Yeah.
flower that this time of year is very popular. But don't dare bring one to this party because red and green are outlawed.
we are so I don't know what word to use, into trying to make sure that everybody feels wanted and nobody feels excluded, that we exclude everything so that we won't hurt anybody's feelings and end up hurting a whole bunch of people's feelings. And
Right.
everybody needs to do their own thing. I had a friend in Rhode Island that she put up her candelabra for the Jews. At the same time, she put up her Christmas wreath, you know, and she just did that because she had Jewish friends, and she just decorated for both.
Wow,
She
that's sweet.
that was just the way that she did it, and I'd never even thought about that because I don't celebrate Christmas as Christ's birthday. We don't know when he was born, so we don't need to,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And we don't know when he died, so we don't need to try to figure out what day It is on our calendar. Our calendars is so much different from what it was 2,000 years ago that you couldn't be sure anyway.
Yeah.
So we just do a family holiday and
Right.
enjoy it. And we have our traditions. Of course, some of mine have passed because my kids got grown and they didn't carry it out. But they always got new pajamas, Christmas Eve.
My mom
and,
did that too. Yeah.
and they put them on, and I wrapped. Back in the day, you got a box of cereal that you could open it up and eat right out of
I
the box.
remember that. Yeah.
And so they got this box of cereal, and an apple and an orange, and they were wrapped in tin foil and on the foot of their bed. So when they woke up, their breakfast is there waiting for them
Oh my goodness.
and stuff. And that was just something that I did when my kids was growing up.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's weird because whenever we were growing up, my mom said I didn't have any clue what you put in a stocking because her mom died. My mom's mom died. She wasn't even 50 yet. She was in her 40s, and so she just didn't know what to do. And but back in the day in Virginia, everybody got like nuts and oranges and apples, and so when we first understood stockings or whatever, and we're like poured it out, and it was like an orange and apple, and like, what? I don't want an orange and apple. I want, some, and I never pieced it together that we always got a big bag of oranges and big bag of apples, Christmas Eve, and it was strange. I should have pieced that together, but I guess I was a little slow back then.
well, we didn't have much Christmas when I was growing up because my mom was a single mom. There wasn't very many dimes and nickels left over when food was bought and stuff. And so we didn't even have stockings. I didn't know what stockings were. And then when my first one was born, we were at my mother-in-law's house, and she had a stocking for the baby.
Oh.
So that's kind of how I got introduced to stockings. And I'm not blaming my mom because she did the best she could,
Right, right.
But a lot of people do different. I put in like pencils for school and some candy, stuff that they didn't normally get, maybe a small toy like a yo-yo or something. And but Dee and Lori, they put a lot of different stuff in stockings. I always get some kind of candy. One year I got a jar of sugar-free orange marmalade because that's my favorite jelly, and it was in my stocking. So you can put anything in a stocking that will fit.
Yeah,
So
that's right. So, but now as a kid, I was perplexed by the oranges, the apples, and the nuts. But now as an adult, I look back and I think that's just
Yeah.
precious.
How long do you think it's going to be before you're not able to put up a Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center or at the White House or in a hospital parking lot? Or how long do you think it's going to be before it gets to that point to make sure that nobody that doesn't believe in Christmas doesn't have to look at our stuff?
That's a good question. That's a very good question, because I know the Obamas welcomed the White House Christmas tree this year. I think Michelle did, and the two children. But I'm hoping that people can put aside the religious overtones and just enjoy the beauty of, a beautiful tree with lights and stuff. I mean, who can't?
Yeah,
Who can't enjoy that? You would have to make yourself not enjoy that.
right. right.
You'd have to be just a Scrooge to me
Right.
to not enjoy just a tree with lights on it.
Right.
And just because somebody else believes it to be a symbol of blah blah blah, that doesn't mean you have to believe that.
That's right.
Don't believe it.
You can look at the decorations at my house and think what you want. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. I look at my decorations and I think what I want, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's just,
But I do understand from the secular movement and things, when they put nativity, well, maybe not a nativity scene, because if they, I guess they just don't believe that Jesus was even born, but I think it's the miracle part of his birth that they reject, and some secular people or atheist people reject the whole notion of there being a man called Jesus in that time frame, that did good and taught love. So I am looking at it, and just like my husband and I were talking about last week, through the eyes of a different community this year. Because if they see a nativity scene at the courthouse, then I can see where they say, well, the government's pushing a certain religion, on the masses,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah,
So
and
I can see
and
that.
I can see why some people would be upset, and I have no problem with that. I don't put up a nativity scene for the simple reason I don't celebrate it as the birth of Jesus, so I don't need one. My sister puts up one, and it's biblical correct because she has Mary and Joseph and the baby here, and her wise men are off over here making the trip.
Oh, coming from afar.
Yeah, they're not right there at the manger and stuff, and but that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody
Go for it, girl.
everybody has a right to do what they feel comfortable doing, and don't be judgmental.
Yeah.
Just because you're not like me, I still love you anyway.
That's right. We're all different. And so if we can get everybody to come together and say, I can see where this would offend you or bother you. But I want you to enjoy my Christmas tree, or I want you to come to my Christmas party.
Right.
When in Rome, do as the Romans. That's
Right,
my
right.
philosophy. If I didn't believe in a Christmas party and somebody invited me to one, I don't think I would say, "Oh, I'm not coming unless you change the name of it to a winter party." Whatever. Go have a drink, eat some food. Just sometimes you have to just take
Right.
one for the team.
Right.
And we have to do it. I'm talking about as women. We can't always try to force our way, and we're in a movement where we're moving forward, and sometimes we're gonna be shut down, but we just can't go backwards. You just stay where you are and just keep going.
If we were all the same and all looked alike, thought alike, this would be such a boring place to live. We'd all die of boredom. I'm glad we're different.
Me too. And I'm glad that everyone, well, for the most part, and I hope to goodness we're working on this, is free to express themselves the way they want to. And if you want
Yes.
to put a nativity scene up on your own personal lawn, that's great. And if you want to put a menorah up on your lawn, that's good. Kwanzaa, if you want to celebrate that. If Festivus for the rest of us, if you want to get your Festivus pole out, go for it. If you don't want to do anything, but try to share in the joy of your friends when they celebrate something.
Right.
Like you go to a birthday party, it's not your birthday party, but you are happy for your friend and you want
Right.
to, celebrate with them. And so we do need to be more tolerant of each other, and to be more tolerant, you have to be more educated about different
Right.
religions, ways of thinking. And so that's what we're trying to do with the New Covenant Group. We're trying to educate people on the differences, and not always will the differences divide you. Sometimes the differences make it special, and it makes us have a good time together. And so concentrate on the similarities, and we'll love each other through the differences. And tonight we're going to have Lawrence Krauss on the show, Dr. Lawrence Krauss, and so excited. I can't even tell you how excited we are about that. And also Michael Camp. He's a returnee. And I'm interested to find out how he's grown from one year to the next. Like, what different are you doing, Michael Camp? What's going on? And it's good to see a growth. Or if you think you've already made it or arrived, maybe you can say I'm doing the same thing because it works for me. So... Right, Ruthie?
Right. I'll stop growing when I die.
Hey, that's it. And Ruthie's impressive too, because she does have a lot of gray hair, and she is getting on up there, as Dr.
Yes.
Jones would say. she is in her prime, but she is someone who can change and someone who can evaluate information and someone's not so stuck. And if anybody would have been stuck, anybody from Pleasant Grove, we know that. The old saying was they had to pipe sunlight out there to y'all back over by the by the
Canal.
bayous, the canals. And then being in a denomination that was so strict and so male driven as I was too, you have really, really grown and shine today, and you're an inspiration to all the women here at the New Covenant group.
I have to give my husband credit. He helped. He really did. He pushed me
Yeah.
to grow and to become more self-sufficient and stuff. So
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. All right, guys, support your women. And I tell you what, this year, let's just find a reason to have a party.
Right.
Whatever you want to call it. Let's just have a party and enjoy this time of year. Okay, we'll see you next week. And we miss Kimberly and Monica, but they're at a Girl Scout parade at Pensacola Beach. So lucky them, right?
yes, no,
Not. Not.
too many people.
That's
Too
right.
many people. Too much traffic.
And too many children. Not really. Too much traffic, though. Anyway, we will see you next week.